Welcome back to the shop. It's time for a little more work on the mini wrecker. And today I got to beef up more of my subframe. We got all the right parts for our transfer case.
So nice.
And we got to figure out what it's going to take to get this body mounted back up here. So we got a lot of goals for this one. Let's get started. And I'm going to start right here. So I have this dead space right here. What I want to do is go ahead and put a support in that's going to keep it from allowing the frame to twist. It's going to add a lot of rigidity and strength right in the center of this thing. And there's nothing here that's going to get in the way of that. So we can put that bar right through there. If you guys watched the last video, then you saw me make this subframe part. I made sure everything was square, straight. All I had to do now was just measure off the front to the back. So we are now exactly 20 inches here, 20 inches here. We have good cross. Remember, that's not going to stop us from needing to remove a transfer case or a transmission or anything else. So all that's going to do is just sit there and support everything, keep it from twisting, because we want to bring the beef.
Where's the beef?
Time to weld it in. Paint's flammable. I decided to paint that little bushing bracket that I had made for the transfer case before I started welding in there. Well, my name's Colt. I like fire. Oh man, my water's low. Better fill that back up. So one of the things I get asked all the time, why is that stuff green? Well, you can get the green stuff. Basically, all it does is absorb the metal smoke. Metal flake gets in the air, it gets sucked in there, where water might get some of it, but that actually like forcefully absorbs it. Problem is, it's still water-based. And when you live in the desert, things evaporate fast. They should call cheap water hoses naughty hoses because, man, they get kinky. This thing is just poop. Stop kinking.
3 hours later.
Still kinked up where it's straight. Decides to still roll after I untwisted it. And kink. To the engineer or salesperson that decided if we just skip one step called extra nylon, we'll save ½ cent to every one of these hoses we sell at the same price, which will profit us, I don't know, $10,000 over a span of a year. You know what you deserve.
You know why.
And we're filling back up. Woohoo! Well, at least there's enough in there to start. We gotta add a little beef. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, times 2. We got it welded in. Got a little surface rust on them, but still looking good. The reason I'm doing that is not only is that gonna structuralize it this way, but it also is now adding support from the lower plate to the upper box, double boxing strength 2 times 5, 3 plus 12, 111% stronger. Well, I messed up. You guys remember when I did this T-case, I set this in here. Now, to get it true, I went ahead and made this little temporary bracket that I just tacked on. So the bolts I put in are a skosh too long, and I went to pull them out so I could weld this up on the back side, and you can see that is not no worky. So we'll grind these off, see what we get. Can we get those bolts out? They're so close. Yeah. We got it. Woohoo. Mistake diverted. I should show you, I almost made one other mistake. I had this bolt in the other way, going this way. If I'd have welded this box in before changing that bolt that way, we'd be in bad shape right here too. Next thing I need to do before we get this body set on here is I want to cut all the stuff that I don't need and get it out of the way. Don't need, definitely don't need these. That's a big nope. And even this right here, which is just a chain hook to hold the frame down. I wonder if this was only a Japan to US thing, or if the Japanese samurais had these as well. Either way, all it does now is hold dirt in here. So I'll go ahead and torch that off as well. Along with drilling a hole in these, this just collects dirt. You can see all the dirt I plucked out of here, and there's just not enough room for it to breathe. So we'll drill a hole in these little gussets that come with this piece and make that let it breathe. It's clean again. Let's get this thing underneath. Ooh, big muscles. There we go. Muscles, muscles, muscles. Stop. We're gonna have to figure out what's gotta chop. First thing I need to do is get this frame pretty straight. If we cut out a little more, it's not the end of the world. That's why I like working with metal and not wood. If I mess up, I can just weld it back together. I'm gonna try to save myself some time by measuring what I got down here and seeing if I can trim up what I need to do up here before we try to set the body down, because I know it ain't gonna fit. This is the perfect situation for the eye muffs. Oh, lead it. Here's the downside to these. They hold in the humidity. Woo. This is a high-speed body drop. So we gotta open this up just a little. There. We have that one spot right here. So we just need to trim that. Nasty. That took a little more time than I expected, but I think we got it. I think everything's cut that needs to be cut. We'll find out right now. Come on down. You guys know every time we travel, I like to break up the monotony of just straight traveling because it gets rough. So sometimes you just find some extra cool stuff. Today we decided to make a quick pit stop at the Creation Evidence Museum. Look at that huge chunk of petrified wood right there as part of the walkway. So pretty neat. We can go inside and see what they got.
Now after the fall is when things began to be corrupted. Now how far that corruption went before the flood, I don't know, and the Bible doesn't really say. So, you know, all of these experiments were basically to back up what the Bible says about people growing bigger, living longer, applied to the animals too, not just the human beings.
So one of the things I always like to challenge myself on is building stuff, challenging what I can do, what I can't do. And you need to challenge your brain as well. And, you know, we learn what some things are, what we're taught in school, but if you don't challenge it, you never know. So up there is pictures of bones they found that still have collagen in them, even blood clots that are elastic. I don't know if that works if it's supposed to be 65 million years ago. So Shanna's dad actually helped weld this many years ago. This is a pressurized hyperbaric chamber. Some of the other ones they have there are there. So they put a copperhead, a poisonous copperhead snake in that first one there. In just 3 weeks, it was not eating mice. It was eating fruit and vegetables, and its venom went away and actually transformed into serum. Now how they do that? That's actually some straight up Jurassic Park stuff.
It's turning the eggs.
They have the sap that had air bubbles in it, and they were able to recreate those air bubbles to recreate the atmosphere pre-flood. In case you're wondering, that's Bigfoot. Put your hand there, Shanna. Clear. This came out of Bolivia, projected to be from the 8th century AD. That is a Spinosaurus right there from like Jurassic Park 2 attacking one of the Bolivian warriors. So this biosphere here, patented and trademarked from what I understand, but it's 65 feet long. It's pressurized currently right now, and this is where they're going to start doing their next test. So even in that small one, they did a piranha. The piranha actually grew 4 times its size. So whatever they start with in here, it's going to be really, really cool. So unlike a lot of museums too, every fossil here, they show you the fossil, and if it's a replica, they will tell you that it's a replica or a casting. Everything on this side in this lab is an actual fossil. No castings, nothing fake. How they're finding blood vessels and stuff like that is they're actually taking the bone and they slice it about half the width of a strand of hair, where it's translucent and they can actually access it and see through it in their microscopes and fancy stuff that I don't have.
So here is one of my favorite pieces, because whenever I was a little girl, they brought in this egg right here. It's got 2 embryos in it, so it's a very rare occasion to find a twin dinosaur egg. So whenever they brought it in, I was actually in the room whenever Dr. Baugh was given it, and I got to hold it. It was so cool.
This one is actually hatching, and that little white dot in the front is its eyeball. Yep.
That cute little thing.
Rattlesnake.
We can?
Oh, wow.
Oh my
Awesome.
gosh.
And if you don't believe me about the venom, here is literally the shot of the venom. Here it is 3 weeks later as actual serum. Pretty crazy. Like I always tell you guys, for me, there's the right way, the wrong way, and the way I do it. And a lot of that comes from we're told one way is the right way and we're told one way is the wrong way. I like to find things out for myself and do things for myself. And I challenge you to do the same. Fossils that they have here, some of them come from Dinosaur, Colorado, and a lot of them come from right down here in that creek, the Paluxy River. This is obviously just a miniature casting of the actual one, but this is the polystrate fossil. Of course, you never learned this in school, at least I didn't. These are all the different layers of millions of years of geology, yet there's a tree that goes right through it. Makes things interesting, right? And you can't drive through southern New Mexico without stopping and checking out Roswell. We're in the museum right now, and these are all just different notes and things. This is the research center for the 1947 Roswell incident, and some Star Wars stuff if you want to buy some Star Wars stuff. Technical memorandums. That is a lot of stuff. Do they have any of these in pop-up? Like a pop-up book?
That's how Colt reads.
Antimatter. This is a reply to request information on the following UFO incidents. August 1965, John Spaulding, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Air Force. These are actually organized by date, too.
Warning. Massive nuclear event detected. Proceed with caution.
Looking pretty okay-ish. Something's still grabbing. Maybe this a little bit. Feels like it's just rocking on something. I'm not exactly sure what. Time to go underneath and find out. There's definitely still not down all the way. There it is. Cable bracket that really does nothing. I just gotta figure out how to get in there to cut that out. Dang you, bracket! I think instead of trying to line the body back up, picking it up, lining it back up, setting it down, I think I'm just gonna cut right here, because I can always just weld a plate across the top and just take that whole bracket out. Yeah. Okay, feels like it's solid now. Yeah. Many moons ago, before they were owned by Transamerica, I worked for 4-Wheel Parts. One of the things that I always seemed to end up doing was a body lift on vehicles, because it was cheap, right? And then instead of doing a 2-inch, which is enough to just give you enough clearance to get around everything, they always want to do 3-inch, because cost of the 3-inch versus the 2-inch was only a couple bucks, but the amount of work it took to make things stretch 3 inches was way more. With that being said, I don't want to put a body lift on here at all, but what I do want to do is the same concept of what I did when I would put on a body lift, which is measure the body to the frame. So before we tighten the body back up, I want to make sure that it's true to the frame, front and back, side to side, all that kind of stuff. Which means, ow. Just come off same spot of the frame to the same spot of the body. Beautiful. Back on. So much. Everything's in. Everything looks good. Everything's nice and tight. Don't need that in there anymore. Can go in my shop 2x4 pile. Do you have a shop 2x4 pile? I don't think I need any of this stuff. Looks like everything cleared here, which is good. And we can clean all that. Oh, that stuff is so gross, that floor stuff. Might modify this out just a little more for this shifter. And we can cover this side up. Plate that, plate that. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna mount my shifters off the T-case in here still. So there's gonna be a little bit of work involved there. I'll probably go ahead and just cut this off because I'll probably just make a whole bracket here that just covers that. If we remove this and this, it's gonna make life a lot easier for seating. Next thing I gotta do, well, that's for me. Boom. You guys know what this is? This is because of you guys. That is what you call a YouTube silver play button for 100,000 subs. So thank everybody you. It's actually pretty lightweight. They're not, anybody wondering if they're heavy? It's like plastic with stainless panels on it. And then a mirror. We gotta hang this up. Yeah. Crazy to think that in just a year and a half, thanks to you guys, we now have 100,000 subscribers. And you guys have viewed our content over 13 million times and 3 million viewed hours. That's crazy. So thank every one of you. So the next thing I want to do here is right inside of this. So like I told you before, when I built the T-case, I wanted to go Toyota U-joints all the way around, and that's because finding Land Rover joints in the US is super hard to find. So once again, the gurus at Adam's Drive Shaft have made me the Toyota flanges that are gonna go on each end of this T-case, so we have drive shafts that match our drive shaft adapter. So if you guys decide that you wanna do the Land Rover T-case, or you have a Land Rover and you wanna get rid of those U-joints, get a hold of the guys at Adam's Drive Shaft. Not only can they make you Toyota flanges, but they can do 1310, 1330, 1350, whatever you want. So if you want to step up into big stuff, you can do that as well, even at your opinion. And I'm pretty sure they just made the market on it. I don't think there's anybody else doing that. So yeah, Rover guys, get on the phone. All right. Out with the puny small bolt pattern, in with the big boy bolt pattern. Yeah. Mucho betterist. Oh yeah, so nice. Look, you finally decided to join in on the fun. Showing up like a blister after all the hard work's done. So super happy to have the body back on. Drivetrain's in. You know what we got to do next. It's axles. And the reality is I've been waiting. There's been a lot of back and forth of like what axles they wanted to run. They do want to do 1-tons. So I'm going to use the Toyota axles, I think, in my leaf sprung Samurai, but that still leaves us with needing 1-tons for this. And I just can't wait the months for somebody to build some. So I think we're just going to donate the ones out of our other buggy, which means we got to get this out of the shop and that thing in here.
Shaking the butt, drinking moonshine till the sun comes up.
It's been a long time, a long time.
Honey, honey, don't play games with me. I ain't here to just look pretty. I got dirt and blood running through my veins.
Been sitting for a minute. Turbo's smoking. One of the things I get asked all the time, why do your rigs have a pair of vice grips near the dash? Just like that. It's real easy. That's probably one of the best do-all tools. If I need to pinch brake line off, need to take a bolt out, or something like that, and it's like right now has to happen, here, vice grips. Done. This poor thing is El Disgustor. Even my nice PSC. Surprise! I'm gonna donate axles to the build because, well, we need to get some axles in here. Now I know this rig just started after sitting for over 2 years and moved to this location. That's about the most it's done, and I'll explain why here in just a sec. So last time I had this thing out, I was having brake issues. Since then, I've replaced the Willwood rotors with some better rotors, but they are catching just a little bit, and I think that's just due to sitting, right? Maybe the caliper's a little bit rusted. If you didn't notice the blue smoke, the engine is extremely tired and the turbo is on its way out. And lastly, but probably the most important part of why this thing doesn't move is these T cases. If you guys remember, there was a company, Midnight Metalworks. They had a great idea, a great plan. Unfortunately, they didn't treat their customers very well and didn't get product to people's hands, and that's why these are gonna come out. But the problem with them is they pop out of gear. So I'm in low range and I'm climbing something nuts and it pops out of gear. The doubler, which is a custom one-off doubler, it does the exact same thing. And when you're going downhill and your brakes have been mediocre and it pops into neutral, it's kind of scary in a manual transmission. Now, like I said, I've since then alleviated my brake problem. It does stop, but I still have major transfer case problems. Plus, none of the stuff fits. Like if I wanted to do this right, I can't put a chair in that passenger seat. That's a kid's seat. I can't put a regular seat in there because it doesn't fit to fit all this stuff. So if I really wanted to get this thing going again, I would have to drop the entire drivetrain down, kind of like what I did to the mini wrecker, so that I could still have seating there. Last oil change. Now, if you're wondering about propane, here's why. Look at that, crystal clear. If propane leaks past cylinders, it doesn't mess the oil. So your oil stays really nice for a long time. Basically, if you're only changing it because you've lost viscosity, if you feel like you've done that. That's one of those pros of propane. But the reality of this rig is I want to make a new one. Like, I don't really like how this one works anymore. It doesn't work right. I need a new motor. I need new transfer cases. I might even want to put an automatic in and get rid of that 5-speed. And if you're going to all that trouble, you're basically building an entire new rig. I might as well build new axles. And I've already shown you guys how to build Dana 60s, so there's no point in me building another set of Dana 60s. We can just use these ones because they got a bunch of great parts. Perfect for buggy world. Up front, we have 717 gears, spool, Yukon chromoly axle shafts, Yukon super joints. We got Yukon lockouts, aluminum hubs, solid keyed 6-bolt knuckles, kingpin, and the rear has a Yukon Grizzly locker, same 717 gears obviously, and then RCVs that really make this thing smooth. Like, it makes the rear steer super, super smooth with the RCVs in the back. Now, in my drag axle Samurai, I have a lot more tools than this, but all I kept in this thing was your basic stuff, a good old Halliburton hammer, air down tool, some fluids, some zip ties, basically whatever you would need to get off the trail. Spare belt. Nothing major, but just enough. When I built this, it had a Samurai case. When I put in the 300 and the doubler, because where my drivetrain sat, it sat too high. So I lost that spare space for the seat. So I attempted to put in a small seat, just never got around to it. It's fortunate that Shanna's really small because that's a kid's seat, and I'm pretty sure you could fit in the kid's seat. Yeah. Oh, hey, oil soak rags. We always called these diapers in the oil field. Definitely don't want to get rid of these PRP seat belts. Those come in handy. Just finding random things. Oil dry. Hornet's nest in the air filter. Cool.
Why does coffee taste like dirt?
Because it comes from dirt?
Because it was just ground.
Ah. Well, this is gonna be fun because these tires are full of fluid and the calipers are locked up from sitting for so long, but you're just gonna have to wait till the next video to see us pull these things out, because we gotta get these things out, get it out, get the other Sammy back in, and it's just gonna be a lot of work. So we will see you guys in the next one. We appreciate you watching. Goodbye.
Progress.